Episode 38 of the Star Wars Newsnet Timeline Show is here. Take number 2 for those of you who are curious about how many times it takes me to say what I'm supposed to say. But here we go. Take 2, episode 38. We are going to be in Young Jedi Adventures Season 2, episodes 3 and 4, because Luke and I are making our way through the entire Star Wars timeline, and that's where we are right now. We have Pirate's Pet, The Secret Ship, Nub's Big Mistake, and the Jedi Rescue ready to go, locked and loaded. We're recording this on Tuesday, Christmas Eve. Luke, how are we doing on Christmas Eve?
Oh, we're feeling festive today. And I know that no one else out there would know this, but tomorrow is Christmas, and Christmas is also my birthday. So
Yes, it
we're
is.
feeling very, very good on this 24th of
Actually,
December.
Luke's birthday Eve, actually. Not really Christmas Eve. It's Luke's birthday Eve. That is why we celebrate at this time of year for some of us. That's why we celebrate it. And Luke's birthday, while Christmas, not everyone celebrates Christmas, of course, but everyone should celebrate your birthday. So technically, tomorrow is a universal holiday.
That's how I see it too.
How noble and humble of you. So, ready to get in some timeline show?
Oh, I'm ready. We've got some really good characterization going on today.
So here we are, episode 3 of season 2 of Young Jedi Adventures. Just so you guys know, Luke and I break down a new piece of Star Wars canon material every single week. We just make our way through the timeline from start to finish. Hopefully this show never actually reaches a complete conclusion, because that would mean that there will be no more Star Wars canon material ever. So God forbid that day ever come. I sure hope not. So hopefully Luke and I will be sitting here when we're 150 years old, having to backtrack and do different episodes back in different parts of the timeline, because things will eventually get to where they overlap for us. But that is not this day. So this day we do Young Jedi Adventures. So Pirate Part 1 is called Pirate's Pet. Tabor is back, his first appearance of the season. He steals a wild gangle to impress the Gangles. I know it can be a bit confusing. Stealing a wild gangle to impress the Gangles, the quote-unquote most powerful pirates in the sector, or whatever that they've called themselves these couple of episodes. And our trio of Kylus and Nubs, they help rescue the Gangle that Tabor captures and restore it and bring it back to its natural habitat. Tabor and Kai throughout this episode are so focused on impressing others, they forget they just need to focus on what they can do best. And so that was the main lesson that, Kai especially learned in this one. But Luke, we finally got our first dose of Tabor for this season. How'd it feel to have our favorite little pirate buddy back on our screens?
It was good to have him back, but it did feel like we're kind of just hitting a reset button, a soft reset of he's just back up to his classic pirate antics, and the Jedi that we have come to love and know are just trying to stop him from what he's doing. Yes. So I will say, it's not a complete reset. I say soft reset because even in this episode, he shows that it doesn't take massive amounts to turn him. He does have a good heart.
Right.
He is changing. So he does have all that growth that you had in season 1. But it's just kind of misguided spirit from him.
At the end of the episode, Kai essentially says, Tabor and I are so much more alike than I think. And we've kind of heard that sentiment from Kai before. It seems like this time it was a little bit clearer to him, I guess. So, he's learning, he's growing as we go along. So yeah, I have a few notes for you.
The things that we as viewers have been picking up on from all of season 1, it feels like they've let the characters in universe kind of catch up with us. They're yeah, Kai knows that Tabor and himself are twin flames. And so
right,
I like that we're not still lagging. They're with us, they're tracking.
So a goddess is a rare creature and Thelok, the leader of the Gangles, had stolen it from a senator herself, she says. So, being set in 232 BBY, heart of the High Republic era, I have two questions for you. Number one is if you had to pick a High Republic senator that Godus would have been stolen from, which High Republic senator do you think Selak robbed?
Well, there's a big target on one of them because she's so prominent, and I want to say Gira Staros got her Godus just snatched from her on Hosnian Prime.
And she's just ticked off about it, probably. That's why she even goes further in with denial, probably, because she's just mad that her Godus
She just
gets
wants a
stolen.
different pirate power to go attack.
Also,
That's all she's doing.
can I just ask once in this season, can I see the Gangles steal something successfully? Like I need to see them steal something. Technically, I think in the episode 4 that we have here, they give me a little dose of why they are starting to rise up the ranks. But still, they show up, they've stolen from senators, and everyone thinks they're the best. Come on, like I need to see it. I need to see it happen. There's only so much you can just tell me about the Gangles. Come on now.
There
But
are a lot of
I'm
talk.
curious. I'm curious, and obviously, I am not one of the younglings this show was written for. I don't watch these as soon as they drop, like some parents might, they see it, they put on for their kids, or they have them on loop for their kids. I'm curious why it seems like this season they're very much trying to put the Gangles in like every other episode, or even like this is 4 episodes. They're in 3 of the 4 episodes to start the season. I haven't watched the rest of season 2 yet, but was there some sort of metric they saw where kids really enjoyed the Gangle episodes, or was that just something they really enjoyed doing? So like, let's do more Gangles episodes in season 2. I'm curious to see if this trend continues and the Gangles are basically the number one recurring character in the show, because I need to go back and look at season 1. I don't remember them being in every other episode or like in a row.
No, I don't think they were. So maybe they have some good metrics behind the screen, like you said. Like it could be that. I'm also thinking like maybe behind the scenes, behind the screen type of thing. Like if they're gonna eventually turn Tabor or Prince Cyrus to be more of a friend, or maybe all the way a friend and not an enemy anymore, they need to have like a setup enemy that they all 6 of them can go against, or I guess 7
Mm,
or 8 of them if you add Nash and Wes. So maybe they just need a different enemy or villain
okay, that's
for
fair. That's a good
the
point.
show.
Once the Tabor redemption arc fully makes
Yeah,
its way, and
that's kind of what I'm predicting.
if it happens. Okay, okay, I can see that. So a couple of notes for you. One, when the Gango gets loose in Haplop Springs, they call in the Jedi to assist. Hap calls Kai and says, "Kai, we need some help." And I thought it was interesting. Lissa's first comments when she heard that there was a wild Gango loose in the city was not, "Oh my goodness, there might be people in danger. We need to help them." It was, "Oh no." I was like, "Oh no, the creature is in trouble." I thought that was just a perfect moment for, you know, Liz, because she's the creature person. She loves the creatures. And her first thought was, "Oh my goodness, the creature must be scared." Not, "Oh my goodness, Hap's shop might be ground into the dust."
And I love how in character that is, because so many episodes have pointed to the fact that she's the animal expert. So
Right.
it's very silly to have that as your first instinct, but for her, it makes sense. I really like that.
And not gonna lie, Tabor actually did a pretty good job stealing the Gangle. He
he,
even wrote it into Yarm Tower. I was impressed. That is more impressive than anything I've seen the Gangles ever do. Which isn't really the point of the episode. It's about like not having to try to impress everyone. You should just be the best version of yourself. But hey, consider me impressed, Tabor. Consider
if
me impressed.
if Tabor was watching us do this episode, I think he'd be just getting the wrong lessons. He'd be like, "Oh, really? I did a good job catching that gangle. Nice. Okay, I'm gonna keep doing
It's
that."
like
Like,
round 2. Time for round 2. So episode part 2 of episode 1 was called The Secret Ship. We're back with our good friend Princess Anaya, and she has built her own ship in a not so secret way. She thinks she's built it in secret. Her parents are pretty much aware of this the entire time, as kids, I feel like, try to keep secrets, but mom and dad, other people in their life kind of sniff those things out pretty quickly. And she wants to do a test flight of her ship before they open up this brand new library that she is in charge of opening. And she basically, there are some complications with the flight. She has to learn to be really confident in herself and her abilities, despite what others may say. And that's really the lesson here, because she wants to be more than just quote unquote a princess. She wants to be this mechanic and show she has other things to offer than just being this royal figure paraded around, much like our own Princess Leia, who has, her own fiery spirit to her. So this is a nice little nod to that. So I thought this was a wonderful episode. The Princess Anaya episode from, the first season was very fun. She's a fun character to bring back here in season 2. Obviously, her and Nash have a close relationship, and so it was a fun episode. I thought I enjoyed this part actually a little bit more than part 1 with Tabor, which surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, they were equal in my mind, if not Anaya a little bit more enjoyable. And if you weren't going to say it, I was definitely going to bring it up that like she gives a very good Princess Leia vibe. Just a very pure soul, someone who's born into aristocracy, but also wants to be more than that. I love it. I
Right.
love this character of Princess Anaya, and the ship looks great. Looks very cool. She built that thing. I'm impressed. It looks very sleek.
And we talk about Princess Leia, but like there are so many very clear that this episode was almost too on the nose in terms of like Star Wars movie callbacks. And I'll just run through a few of them. I mean, you have obviously the Princess Leia of the show, you have Princess Anaya in this episode. You have PD4, the royal assistant droid that's constantly nagging, which it's not in the same way that C3PO would nag Leia, but it's still that same nag of a princess should do this. This is proper protocol. This is proper etiquette. And it felt like, okay, you have the C3PO-esque droid. You have the canyons that they fly to that are reminiscent of Tatooine. It's not Tatooine, but it's very reminiscent of Tatooine. And of course, they crash there. And there's even a part where Nash says, "Nice flying, Anaya." And she goes, "Oh, yeah, watch this." And here's a trick, and starts spinning, which is obviously the clear, episode 1, callback there. So I thought, and then there's a couple other notes I wanted to get to. There was the ion compressor, which just made me think of Rey going, "I bypass the compressor." And so I thought about that. And then, of course, this is where I really need your input, Luke, because this is my own headcanon. I have my own headcanon for this episode. So before I begin, Bing Quadraneros from Phantom Menace, right? What species is he? What species is he again?
It's something like it's like a small word. It's like a tryst or something.
Okay.
I don't remember
So
off the top of my
we
head.
see someone that same species there who's unable to
Yeah,
fix this part for a ship or something. He's unable to fix this part, and he kind of, I guess, sneers a little
attuned.
bit when Anaya, yeah, okay, a tune. So he's a tune, and he kind of sneers when Princess Anaya is trying to talk about how she can fix things. Anyway,
Right.
so, but he is fixing it wrong. He's unable to do it. And Naya is fixing it up. In my headcanon, this is like Bing Quadranero's great grandfather, and not being able to operate machinery in a proper way is just something that gets passed down from father to son, which culminates in the most Espa, race, in which Bing Quadraneros, because he's unable to really build a pod racer, just absolutely blows up and is not able, like, this is the culmination of an entire family lineage of failed mechanic expertise.
I haven't deeply studied the Toong species, so this could just be like his dad. We don't know how long they live. Maybe it's Ben
Could that
himself.
be Bing
We don't know.
Quadraneros?
We don't know. It could be Ben. So I
I don't know
think
how long they live.
it makes a lot of sense that just in this family lineage, they were really meant to be like painters and artists, but they're just forcing themselves to like work on machines, and it's like that's not what you're meant for. Okay,
It's
quit
like
trying to make
in
it work.
Star Trek, there's a species, Luke, called the Ferengi. And the Ferengi, sorry for those of you who hate Star Trek, you're gonna have to bear with me for a moment. But the Ferengi, they are obsessed with profit. So their entire culture is this kind of patriarchal society, like it's very kind of demeaning towards women, but it's completely so it's like so capitalistic where everything is about profit and like the laws of their land are called the rules of acquisition. And so like some of the rules of acquisition are never let family get in the way of profit, or someone's problems are a great way to exploit them, or find a way to exploit them. And it's all about just building wealth. But not every single Ferengi has they have like giant ears, so they would say not every Ferengi has the lobes for business. And so some of the Ferengi are forcing themselves into business to build profit because their entire societal structure is based on who can make the most profit. But some of them are great mechanics or great artists, but they will never see that realized. They'll just be always on the lowest totem pole because that's what they're going for. Maybe that's the Quadraneros and the Toons. They just are trying to force themselves to be these great mechanics, pod racers, builders, when really they just should just go grab the what is it? What's the instrument that the Valacord? I was gonna say the
Oh gosh,
Valacord
yeah.
that Tobias Beckett wants to play. Maybe they should just go grab the Valacord and become a beautiful musician.
That's what I'm thinking. Like they are just not meant for this, and they keep trying to put themselves in a position to do it.
So one more callback too was when Anaya fixes the ion compressor. What she said, her first words to Nash after she fixed it when they were about to crash was "Punch it, Nash!" And it was just too many. It was just so many on the nose. Like I was
Yeah.
sitting there thinking I was watching the child version of A New Hope, I guess, throughout this one.
I had never said that phrase so much in my life until we went to Galaxy's Edge together as a friend
Oh yeah,
group.
totally.
And every
Punch
single time we left a store or we're on the Millennium Falcon ride, punch it, punch it, punch it.
it. The amount of unhingedness that happened on that ride is something that needs to be studied about in books. I think we set a record for most Star Wars quotes given in about a 6 minute span that ride went on. So a great time as well. Ultimately, Princess Anaya makes it back in time for the library to open. Her mom and dad are like, "Yeah, we've known you've been building the ship for a while. Like you smell like ship grease every time you come home. Like we understand, but we just love you so much." So good episode. Any other thoughts on Princess Anaya's episode before we get into Nub's big mistake?
The last thing I can say is as I really gotten into reading this past year, I've just that's my favorite thing to do in my free time. So I really wanted
Mhm.
to see maybe inside the library. I wanted to maybe see more of the library that we're building so much. So I understand that's not the point of the episode, but hey, I want a season 3 of Young Jedi Adventures where we just spend an entire episode in the library, please.
What about it's been a show just called like, Inside the Life of Anaya, and it's just the library. She's just running the library. And we're just walking around the library learning about the books and the archives and things like that.
I'm tuning in every week for that.
Anytime we talk about books, I just the have you ever seen Elf? Movie Elf?
Yes, yes.
Like the nun at the beginning of the movie when Walter's trying to take the books away from like the orphanage and she's just, but the children love the books. I say that to Janelle all the time and she just I don't know why she thinks that's the funniest thing. She just eats that up. But the children love the books. It's so good. I don't know
That's
why. That's
good.
just that line is so good. So episode 4, part 1, Nub's big mistake. Nubs learns to stay calm and focused, trust his instincts, because he discovers a lightsaber from another ancient Puba, a Jedi master named Barabo, and he is with Master Yoda and Nash. They're trying to get back to Coruscant to deliver the lightsaber to Huyang, who is in this episode on Coruscant, to help reconstruct the lightsaber, have it safely kept in the Jedi Temple for the fallen Master Barabo, who died some time ago. Now, I have a lot of headcanon to share for this episode, Luke. But
Oh, I love it.
essentially, they crash land on this planet and they have to work together as a group to get the stabilizer that fell off the ship. and to get the lightsaber back from this evil, not evil, just this planet that, or this, oh my goodness, this plant that wants to eat them basically. So we had to figure that out. And not a planet. The plant is not evil. It's just exists. So let's make sure that we have that out of the way. But what did we think this episode? We saw what Nubs is going to look like all grown up at some point, and he's going to be a giant behemoth of a Jedi Master, probably unmatched in strength throughout the galaxy.
I really loved that. I think that was shown in the trailer for season 2
Mm-hmm.
before any of season 2 dropped. So I was really happy to see this show up here.
Oh yes, you're right. Like the first little clip that
Like the
they
first
showed
little
of the scene.
clip.
Okay, that makes so much sense now. I'm so glad you said that because when I watched it for the first couple minutes, I totally was thinking to myself, "Am I on the right?" I checked. Am I on season? Did it somehow go back to season one? I feel like I've seen this before. It's
You have.
definitely from the little clip that they showed before it all came. Okay, everything makes sense now.
It makes more sense now. Um, you know, I hope that they invest in this character, kind of like how I think they're going to be doing Grogu, because I would love to see like you know Nubs seems like he's going to have a very long life. He's going to grow up to be very big. So I like the character. I would like to see like what's he going to be like when he's older. Let's see what's his journey going to be like. So we clearly see that he's going to be huge.
Uh-huh.
And I want to see where his future goes.
You know what I would love? And this will never happen. But you know what would be absolutely unhinged?
Let's hear it.
Like a book with Buryaga and Nubs as the like two main
Mm.
characters, and there's no language like in the book. Like it's just like they just have to read each other because he's speaking Pubian, he's speaking um oh my gosh, what's the Wookiee language?
Shriwook.
Shriwook. Oh my goodness, yes. So she's speaking Shriwook, and it's just like it's just back and forth like that in the whole book, and we're having to just read in between the lines, like, oh, he thought, seems like a very anxious response you have, or oh, why are you so angry? Just back and forth.
Exactly.
The Bell's
They
just in
both
between the two of them.
understand basic. Yeah, I was gonna say Bell could be there and probably translate. Um, but they both
Be
understand
unhinged.
like basic. They just don't speak it. So
Yes.
interesting dynamic they could have there. I would love that.
So so it'd be funny. But ultimately, there were some good things. We have a Jedi Master Baraba, which was nice. It was cool to see. So the lightsabers definitely looked High Republic like a High Republic lightsaber still. So my headcanon is that is Master Barabo, they have these this is this era of the High Republic. And then we have the part of the High Republic 150 years prior that in phase 2 that we've already covered all of on the timeline show. Could Master Barabo have been one of those Jedi, like for the frontier Jedi, that was making their way into parts of the frontier for the first time and establishing like the first contact between Jedi and some of these people and some of these planets? Because it seemed like those people hadn't really encountered maybe Baraba before, and what the brief explanation it gave, and given that the lightsaber looked ancient like that, it had probably been sitting in there for some time. Could that have been when he made Baraba made his way to Tanu or something like that in that era, as being one of those like Jedi on the frontier, first going out, getting those initial missions? Like my headcanon, I kind of think it's like that is the maybe the origin story of the Puba Jedi, and then Nubs is like this next generation of Puba Jedi that takes the place through this part of the High Republic and towards the end of the High Republic.
I like it.
I
So
don't know.
this has also jogged my memory of when they're looking at like, the big carving of Master Barabo. Then there's 3 panels that kind of tell like his a story about him. Like he saves this creature from save these people from a creature. They celebrate him. That's like kind of the 3 panels. The creature that he's fighting is the giant creature on Dathomir that you faced in Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh
It
wow,
is the
that's
giant
a good
like
cut.
bat owl thing. Like that's what he fought off.
That's
So
that's an awesome cut.
that's kind of a cool callback. I don't know if that actually has canon implications of him going to Dathomir or something like that, but I noticed that little Easter egg and I thought that was pretty cool.
Right. Wow, that's incredible. I love that. That's a tremendous find, if I say so myself. So also, so how long do the Poobins live? Poobians? Do we know? Like,
I
because
haven't
now
researched
I'm
that.
wondering, are they gonna live hundreds of years and I have to worry about did Buryaga and Nubs die in Order 66? Like that's what this stuff
Ooh,
like
dang,
those are
yeah.
things those are things I think about. So Yoda just had a grand old time hanging out with them. It was fun to get like a Nubs centric episode with Yoda. I really appreciated that. Nas had the phrase gasket thrusters, which I really appreciated, and then said, "Not my greatest landing," which reminded me of playing the first Battlefront that EA did in 2015, where if you play the Tatooine survival mode, your character starts off every time and goes, "Not my best landing," and then you have to fend for your life against stormtroopers. So that was just another thing I thought of. So any other things before we get into our last little bit here?
I think we're ready for the Jedi rescue.
So the Jedi rescue, we have Wes getting captured by some Gangles and having to learn that, sometimes people can change because their good friend Chig, who we've met many times, who used to be a pirate and now sells rare fruits and delicious fruit across the galaxy, decides he's going to help them escape because he's captured by the Gangles. He helps him escape. He helps Kylis and Nubs get Wes out of danger. And Wes has to learn to drop some of the biases and stereotypes that he does have because he has a quote that he says, once a pirate, always a pirate, which really isn't true because Chig is living proof of that. And shout out to D. Bradley Baker for yet another voice in Star Wars, and our good friend Chig, who I didn't remember exactly what Chig sounded like from season one. So when I was listening today or watching before we did the show, I was like, oh my goodness, it sounds similar to Wrecker. I feel like that's D. Bradley Baker's
Yeah.
voice. And it was. So that was fun to get another check that off, another D. Bradley Baker character here. And so we need to compile a list of every character that he's done in Star Wars because it's obviously all the clones, but there's all these little side characters too that he does in other projects. So I had a good time with this one. Wes, once again, I thought I was growing on. He kind of sucks again. He kind of made me mad. He just kind of sucks again. But what did you think of this overall episode here? And we'll wrap it up.
I like that the Gangles ship gets kind of wrecked because I feel like they have this really cool, really intimidating ship that they don't deserve. So I'm really happy that it got kind of wrecked by Nash
Mhm.
accidentally firing into it. Because I'm like,
Right.
y'all are not good pirates. You do not deserve that ship. I don't know how you got that, but you should not have that. So good. Also, yeah, Wes seems like he'll like learn a lesson for an episode, but it's very surface level or very detached from the rest of his like memory. He'll like,
Mhm.
learn something in episode 1 and then we come to episode 4 and he's like, "No, once a pirate, always a pirate. Like I'm going to judge you." And it's like,
Yeah.
"Well, didn't you learn?"
Right.
So, he's coming along. He's coming along, but just
He's
really
gonna be
slowly.
okay. It's just sad that, our 3 little ones are more mature than he is, but it's okay. Well, we're
It
gonna
does
grow,
seem
we're
like
gonna
that.
learn.
Yeah.
It's gonna be okay. Chig, I love Chig. He's amazing. We had a Wilhelm scream as Nubs did like a Sonic the Hedgehog bowling ball move and took out like a whole group. He goes, "Zzz," and then it was the like Wilhelm scream was fun. And the Variax Authority showed up at the very end, so they kind of suck as the Gangles are trying to
Yeah.
steal all these ships from the planet Variax. But there was a speech that the Gangles gave to the pirates they're trying to recruit in this episode to help with this big job. They're like, most of you don't even have your own ships. And I thought, so they just hang out on Yarm Tower all day? Like, how can you be a pirate but not have your own ship at all? But also live in a
I don't know how
planet
that works.
surrounded by a desert where you can't leave.
They just take public transportation and then they become pirates on their wherever they land. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay. All
It's
right.
like, "Oh, I'm
That
gonna
works.
be a pirate, but I'm gonna take the bus."
Oh boy. So thank you all for joining us for episode 38 of the Star Wars Timeline Show. We will drop this on Saturday. If you're listening to it, we recorded this on Christmas Eve. So we want to wish you all a happy holidays. Hope everyone had a great holiday season. Happy New Year, everyone. Enjoy the holidays with your family, loved ones, or however you enjoy spending the holiday season. We will see you all next weekend. Make sure you tune into Star Wars Newsnet Live, and we'll have part 2 of the Star Wars Year in Review coming out in a couple days, where Luke, Nate, and I will be talking through all of the publishing initiatives that happened in 2024. You can check out this last week's from a few days ago. Miguel and I did the TV and film year in review for Star Wars, which is available for you to listen. For Light and Life, everyone, remember, we are all the Republic.